Well, the new legislative session just underway in Congress. There's a whole lot of new faces, and Congressman Lee Zeldin of New York's 1st Congressional District is among them. He spoke to Andrew Whitman earlier today, and Andrew rejoins us from D.C.
Well, you know, Rich, Congress is a confusing place. It's confusing watching at home, hearing the issues fly back and forth. Heck, anytime you come down and visit, you can get lost in the halls. The complex is so big. But trying to learn how Congress operates, that's difficult, especially if you've only been a member of Congress for 2 weeks. I caught up with Long Island Republican Lee Zeldin, who now represents the 1st District, to find out how he's getting along and what steps he goes through to try to learn the process and even things like what to do on the night of the State of the Union. Here's what he said. Congressman Zeldin, thanks for joining us.
It's great to be here.
Your first State of the Union address as a member of Congress, are there butterflies? What are you thinking as you're getting ready for an event that we've all seen on TV so many times?
Well, I'm looking forward to being there with all of my new colleagues to hear what the president has to say. It's important that in making Washington work better for the people of my district on Long Island, New York State, across America, that we have a healthier dialogue to try to find common ground. Since November 4th's election, for a lot of people who have been here for a while, the dysfunction, their measurements are a little bit different than mine or my constituents. They want to see us talking together. They want to see us, not engaging in offensive actions against each other with no progress. They're concerned about bread and butter issues. We have only passed one federal budget since '07. Our national debt is over $18 trillion. People are working but not making enough to make ends meet.
So many people assume that there's so much enmity between the two parties that, well, somebody must have come to you and been like, you can't talk to those guys or you can't be seen hanging out. Does that actually happen? Are there any crib notes on don't applaud for this or be sure to applaud for that before an event like tonight?
No, nothing like that. I mean, it's our own judgment based on the best way that we want to represent our district as to how we interact with colleagues on both sides of the aisle. How we work with leadership and rank and file, conservatives, moderates, and liberals. There's no cheat sheet as to when to stand or when to applaud.
You've only been in Congress a few weeks. Obviously, you've been preparing for it since the election in November. How do you get to know how the place works? I mean, it can be confusing enough just walking around one of the office buildings without getting lost. How do you get that sense of how it actually operates?
Well, my experience in the military, you learn land navigation very early. It can be very embarrassing for someone who wants to be an officer in the military not to figure out how to get from point A to point B. Fortunately, serving in the state legislature in New York, a lot of our staff moved over. Experience with the committee process and how a bill becomes a law. We were able to skip over those first few steps. We had some idea of how to hit the ground running, and fortunately, we have a great team in place.
Very quickly, your biggest priority for 2015 and what you think you can do to get that accomplished?
Well, we need to have budgets again. One federal budget since 2007. We need to put this nation on a path towards fiscal responsibility. Deficits and debts. Compassion not only for people who are alive and voting today, but my children are 8 years old. Their generation, the next generation after that, there's a duty of the people who are here to care not only about their constituents today, but to make sure that we're thinking long-term. Don't just think about your own election, November of an even year. Got to start thinking about the big picture a little bit more.
All right, Congressman Lee Zeldin, Republican from Suffolk County, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Congressman Lee Zeldin as he prepares for his first State of the Union as a member of Congress. But I've also talked to people, veterans of Congress, who this will be their 15th or 20th or 25th State of the Union address. Everybody seems geared up for a night like tonight. There's just something about the ceremony, the pomp, the camaraderie with everybody in the same chamber at the same time. It's really quite a lot of fun for people who are political geeks, like the members of Congress, like many of the viewers of RFL. Rich, let's send it back to you in the studio.
I agree with everything you said, Andrew. I don't know about the camaraderie, but everything else, you're spot on. Nice job, Andrew, and we will see you later on tonight. Andrew's going to be getting a reaction from lawmakers after the address here. All right, that's going to do it. Dom and I will rejoin you at 9 o'clock here. We'll have the President's State of the Union address in its entirety, along with the Republican rebuttal that will follow thereafter. We'll have reaction as well from the ground. Thank you to everybody for some terrific phone calls. Dom and I will see you in a few hours. We're going to have a look at news, though, on the other side of the break, making headlines in the Valley when we return.